Good morning, this is Angela with Parkrose Permaculture. I'm going to make a short video this morning because it's raining and also because I am busy with house projects. I wanted to talk today about the permaculture principle of integration. So, permaculture principles were designed by David Holmgren, one of the two fathers of permaculture, and the 12 principles Holmgren describes as doors through which you can walk to access whole system design. So in permaculture, we think about designing for whole systems. And what that means is we're not looking at growing an individual crop, or we're not looking at filling one need. We are looking holistically. One of the permaculture principles is design from patterns to details. So you look at large patterns and how you can take patterns in nature and the way nature has evolved to utilize resources and function with potentially maximum efficiency, and you mimic those in your design processes. And by doing so, you reduce labor and increase yields and increase satisfaction and have more free time, and you also improve the ecology around you, and you are a benefit not only to human culture but also to nature. So one of the 12 permaculture design principles is integrate, don't segregate. And we use this principle not only for garden design but in all aspects. So permaculture is not about gardening, as much as that may surprise people. Permaculture is a whole system design where we are talking about integrating the way we build, the way our communities are designed, the way we live, the way we grow our food and raise our food, the way we interact with nature, the way we organize our societies. So yes, gardening is involved, but that's not all permaculture is about. It's appropriate for whole system design for urban communities, for rural farms, for suburban gardens, for the way we build our houses and the way those houses connect with our neighbors' houses and with our gardens and with community centers, how we as individuals and families connect with local food systems. So everything is integrated, and we want to think about how what we do here on our own properties or in our own communities connects to other people and impacts other people, and also how it impacts nature. So when we think about permaculture, we think about having a symbiotic and synergistic relationship with nature and with other humans. Permaculture has 3 ethics. They are care for the earth, care for people, and sharing the surplus. So you can see how the permaculture design principle reflects those 3 ethics. If we're integrating, we're thinking about how our actions and what we do impacts our ability to care for the earth and to care for other people. So in permaculture design, we want to think about how any single element we put in our garden impacts our workload, impacts the animals that move in here. I'm going to see if I can focus on this little sparrow down here. Oh, by the way, this hot chocolate pot is here to mark a baby tree that I have put in so that my kids don't trample it. We think about how everything we plant impacts the plants around it, the animals that are around it, the way nature interacts with those things we intentionally plant. So in terms of how that works practically in the garden, there are so many ways. I want to think about how the plants I'm growing might shade my house and reduce my energy bill. So I'm integrating my garden into my living situation. I want to think about how if I'm planting something, it might interact with my chickens and ducks, So I want to do that in a positive way, where I don't want to plant things where my ducks and chickens are going to destroy them, and my workload is going to be greatly increased protecting my crops for my chickens and ducks. Instead, I'm going to think about integrating and planting in a way where they have a mutually beneficial relationship. For instance, along this fence line here, I've planted all this Russian Bakken comfrey, which is a sterile comfrey, so it only grows from root cuttings, doesn't set seed. I would encourage you to never plant the kind that self-sows if you don't know what you're doing and you're not willing to get a good control on it, because it will come up everywhere. So this still will come up everywhere if I disturb the roots and move them around. But I grow it along the fence line because this is part of the poultry paddock. And later in the summer, I will let the ducks and chickens in here, and the ducks love to feast on comfrey. So this is growing as a dynamic accumulator. It is growing as a plant that can break up our dense clay soil to help my raspberries have better drainage. It obviously flowers and is a great bee food and hummingbird food, and also it provides duck feed. So I'm thinking not only like if I had not thought about how does this plant, how can I best integrate it with every aspect of my system, I want to think about how it impacts my livestock. I also want to think about the fact that it's going to get taller than this. It will grow up to the top of the fence, and how it might shade plants on the other side. So when I'm thinking about elements that I add to my garden, I want to integrate how they interact with everything in the garden. I want to do a video later, pan across here really quickly. I'll try and be, I got some feedback that I moved my camera a little too fast when I pan, so I'm going to slow down so nobody gets nauseated here. It's difficult to see right now, and it's really rainy, so I don't want to go over here, but I have a shed that we put in. Okay. The shed has a sloped roof. When it rains here 9 months of the year, that's a tremendous amount of water collection. I have a clawfoot bathtub right here that was my grandmother's in her garden that collects rainwater. It is a duck pond. The ducks can swim in it. When it gets gross, I pull the plug. The water runs downhill and waters my fruit trees with nutrient-rich water from the duck manure. So I'm thinking about integrating my shed with my orchard and with my poultry in that way. So that also ties into the concept of stacking functions, where now my shed stores my tools, it also collects rainwater. Where my duck pond provides a place for my ducks to cool off and to bathe, but also provides water and nutrients to my orchard. I hope that makes sense. So when we're thinking about integrating, I see people in permaculture worry about whether they can handle the workload of permaculture. And I will say that permaculture, you front load your work. So the most amount of work is early on. And then as things mature, there's a payoff for you. There's less work. You invest up front. But part of whole system design is that you want to design to meet the needs of the client as well as the community. So if I'm going to fully integrate with my design, it has to work for me. So when we talk about permaculture and we talk about having a synergistic and symbiotic relationship, permaculture is not a one-size-fits-all. It is designed specifically for the needs of the location. Obviously, permaculture here in the Pacific Northwest, where it rains a tremendous amount, looks very different than permaculture in Tucson or in the Australian outback or in Central America, right? Or in Nova Scotia. It's site-specific, climate-specific, specific to the soil, specific to the lay of the land. And it's also specific to the needs of the community and specific to the needs of the client. So if you are interested in permaculture and you're thinking about integrating that into your life, understand that it's not just about gardening and you're taking on a whole lot of gardening. It's about integrating a way of thinking and a way of designing into every aspect of your lifestyle, but also in a way that works for you and fits your needs. So if you can't give 10 hours a week to the garden, you want to think about designing that is more low maintenance. Might have lower yield, but if it gets you out in the garden the way you want to interact with it, that's effective permaculture design. So I hope that helped give you all a little look at the concept, the permaculture principle of integration, not segregation, and thinking about connecting your time, your energy, your landscape, your home, your community all together in a way that benefits you, benefits nature, benefits the community, because that's good permaculture design. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please like it. If you have questions, please subscribe to my channel. I will be back later this week, despite the rain, with some more videos. Thanks.